Black People Reparations of the Past. A 2016 report by a U.N. affiliated group has argued that the United States' history of slavery and racial segregation warrants reparations for African Americans. The United Nations Working Group of Experts on People of African Descent concluded that the legacy of colonial history, enslavement, racial subordination and segregation, racial terrorism and racial inequality in the United States remains a serious challenge, as there has been no real commitment to reparations and to truth and reconciliation for people of African descent. The group even drew comparisons between lynchings and controversial police shootings, recommending urgent action through improving the reporting of violations involving the excessive use of force and extrajudicial killings by the police. The conclusion was reached after a fact-finding mission in Washington in January. Of course, the group's recommendations are non-binding. Past injustices and crimes against African Americans need to be addressed with reparatory justice, the group declared in a statement. Reparations could take the form of a formal apology, health initiatives, educational opportunities, an African knowledge program, psychological rehabilitation, technology transfer and financial support, and debt cancellation. Awareness should also be raised through monuments, education, and memorials that are accompanied by acts of reconciliation, the group outlined. This would allegedly work to counteract the dangerous ideology of white supremacy, which inhibits social cohesion amongst the United States population. What do you think of Trump takes back what Obama stole you? Which gave millions back to Americans. During Barack Obama's presidency, he allowed millions of people to get on welfare and live off of hard-working American taxpayers. Before he took office, Donald Trump promised he would make major changes to make sure the system was not being taken advantage of. Now, it's being reported that in his first 7 months in office, Trump has gotten more than 1 million people off food stamps. The latest U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, statistics show that over 1.1 million fewer Americans are on food stamps since January. In fact, food stamp numbers have fallen to their lowest since 2010. The change has been largely attributed to Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration. That's a stark contrast to Obama, who allowed 10.7 million more people to get welfare, a 32% increase from 2009. We must reform our welfare system so that it does not discourage able-bodied adults from working, which takes away scarce resources from those in real need. Work must be the center of our social policy, Trump wrote in his letter to Congress accompanying his proposed budget. If you are on food stamps and you are able-bodied, we need you to go to work, said Mick Mulvaney, budget director, during a White House briefing in May. Hollywood actress Ashley Judd tries to get airport security guard fired. Gets instantly shut up. Recently, Hollywood actress Ashley Judd went to the airport and threw an absolute tantrum when an airport security guard called her sweetheart. This is the kind of thing to me that happens which I categorize as everyday sexism. And it is so easy to let it go and not to speak up, particularly when it is so easy for someone to push back and say, "Oh, I was just being polite," explained Judd in a video that she posted to her Facebook account. "So I was coming through security and a guy said, 'Hey sweetheart,' and I said, 'I'm not your sweetheart, I am your client.' So I was already setting a boundary. When I was setting my things out, he said, 'Hey, nice dress.' I didn't hear him say anything about the attire of any of the other folks in the entire line, and I am in one of the most traveled airports in the world. I'm surrounded by lots and lots of other people dressed in lots of different kinds of dress," said Judd. Judd then went into theatrics about how traumatizing the incident was. "By that time, my skin was burning, my feet are burning. It's so hard to continue to set these boundaries when someone continues to push," explained Judd. When she tried to get him fired, the manager apologized to her. Not surprisingly, her message on Facebook got mixed reviews. Watch Bill Maher make fun of a 9-year-old boy for writing a letter to Trump. Recently, Sarah Huckabee Sanders posted a photograph of a letter sent to President Trump from a 9-year-old boy. "Thank you, Dylan, aka Pickle, for your letter to POTUS. We hope to meet you soon," Sanders wrote on Twitter. Here's what Dylan had to say to the Commander-in-Chief. "Dear President Trump, my name Dylan but everybody calls me Pickle. I'm 9 years old and you are my favorite president. I like you so much I had a birthday about you. My cake was the shape of your hat. How old are you? How big is the White House? How much money do you have? I don't know why people don't like you. You seem nice, can we be friends? My picture is in her so if you see me you can say hi. Your friend Dylan." Instead of recognizing the letter for the adorable message it is, talk show host Bill Maher decided to attack the 9-year-old child for not having perfect grammar. He mocked the child on live television. "This is more of an indictment of the educational system of America. I don't blame the kid. They haven't taught him is at the age of 9? Asked Maher. They owe this kid an apology." Maher then proceeded to articulate his own letter, mocking the minor all the while. "Do you like your boss Mr. Putin? When I drink too much milk I get in trouble for Putin too. When you beat up on real Mexicans does candy come out? How much money do you have? If only there were some way to find out," said Maher. "This is absolutely disgusting. Do you agree?" Major arrest hits Democrats. It involves illegal immigrants. This week, President Donald Trump's allegations of voter fraud have finally been proven true. The Washington Free Beacon is reporting that 6 people were arrested in Boston, Massachusetts for buying and selling false identification documents used to obtain fraudulent voter registration. The Department of Justice reportedly found that 4 state workers at the Massachusetts Registry of Motor Vehicles had teamed up with 2 other individuals to sell the documents to illegal immigrants so that they could vote in the election. The scheme involved stolen Puerto Rican Social Security cards and birth certificates. Immigrants were taking the documents to RMV clerks to obtain the driver's licenses and ID cards required to vote. The scheme involved several steps, the Dodge stated. First, it is alleged that Flacco, the document dealer, sold a Puerto Rican birth certificate and U.S. Social Security card to Bree, the document vendor, for approximately $900. Bree, in turn, sold the stolen identities for over $2,000 to clients seeking legitimate identities in Massachusetts. These clients included illegal aliens, individuals who were previously deported, and an individual who admitted to previously facing drug charges. After Flacco sold Bree the false identification papers, Bree typically used the counterfeit documents and false identities and addresses to fraudulently register the clients to vote in the city of Boston, the Dodge continued. Then, Bree and the client brought the stolen identities to the Haymarket RMV, where Medina, Gracia, Jordan, and Obramage would accept cash to illegally issue authentic RMV documents, including Massachusetts licenses and ID cards. The clerks also accepted cash to use the RMV's system to run queries, including Social Security number audits, to confirm that the identities the clients were stealing actually belonged to verifiable individuals. Now, each of the defendants is facing charges of aggravated identity theft. It's likely more people will be arrested as well, as the investigation is ongoing. Mark Zuckerberg's organization could bring 30 million illegal aliens to our country. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg's Open Borders organization is throwing its support behind a bipartisan plan that can legalize 30 million illegal immigrants living in the United States. FWD.us is a pro-amnesty, pro-foreign labor organization founded by Silicon Valley elites, including Zuckerberg, Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates, and former Microsoft CEO Steve Ballmer. It is backing the resurrection of the DREAM Act in the House and Senate. Representative Lucille Roybal-Allard and Representative Ileana Ros-Lehtinen have now introduced their own version of the amnesty plan, mirroring proposals introduced by Senator Lindsey Graham and Senator Dick Durbin. We applaud Congresswoman Ileana Ros-Lehtinen and Congresswoman Lucille Roybal-Allard for introducing legislation to allow Dreamers who are already contributing to their communities to continue to live and work in the U.S. This bill builds on the important progress made by the Senate's Bipartisan DREAM Act, which was introduced in the Senate last week, and the RAC Act, President Todd Schultz said. Zuckerberg's group also claimed that President Donald Trump would either need to pass the DREAM Act or continue the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, DACA, stating otherwise the result is that nearly 800,000 young people would lose their jobs immediately and be subject to deportation. This is not the first time Silicon Valley tech elites have worked in favor of mass immigration. Every year, major tech firms import tens of thousands of guest workers through H-1B to take American jobs. Al Sharpton instantly riots against Trump. President Trump came under fire recently for a speech he made to a police officer, joking that the officers are sometimes too nice. The media quickly took this comment out of context as the commander-in-chief advocating police brutality. Al Sharpton took this criticism further by criticizing the president for using the term paddy wagon. When you see these thugs being thrown into the back of a paddy wagon, you just see them thrown in, rough. I said please don't be too nice, President Trump said to a group of police officers. Like when you guys put somebody into a car and you're protecting their head, you know, the way you put your hand, like don't hit their head, and they've just killed somebody, don't hit their head. I said you can take the hand away, okay? Sharpton tweeted a photo that reportedly said Saturday, Rev. Al Sharpton to blast President Donald Trump's reprehensible encouragement of police violence and racist paddy wagon slur. Reverend Al Sharpton and National Action Network will also welcome His Holiness the Jayal Wangdruk Patanand Saturday Action Rally to promote interfaith dialogue as the key to combating global injustice. I will respond to Trump praising police violence to an audience of laughing cops at a speech Friday, tweeted Sharpton. What do you think of Sharpton's comments? Is he twisting Trump's words?